Hi everyone, Grada Robertson here from the Purple House, and I am here with a very special guest today, our grandson Elijah Robertson.
Hello. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Yeah. It's all about you. So today I want Elijah to share some of his story. Recently, a month ago, Elijah was diagnosed with Nomit's disease. NOMID, and it's a very incredibly rare condition or disease that's very life-threatening. And unbeknownst to us, Elijah was born with it. It's a genetic mutation, and there are only 100 known cases in the world. So, Elijah, do you want to share a little bit about your life story? I just want to say you're looking absolutely amazing and fabulous. So Elijah has come to life in the last 4 weeks since he got his diagnosis in the Royal Melbourne Hospital, because previously there was no diagnosis for Elijah's suffering. And happy days, there is a medication for it as well. So what do you do to control the disease, Elijah?
Well, so recently I've been to the Melbourne Children's Hospital in Melbourne, where they had an investigation about what to do with my Nomit's disease. We just recently found out that I have Nomit's disease. We originally thought that I just had an autoimmune disorder.
A very severe autoimmune disorder.
And arthritis. And then when we went to the hospital, this doctor came and recognized my sickness straight away, and so he put me on Anakinra, which is a medication which is meant to stop it from attacking my body even more. So because most of my energy goes into my body usually attacks itself instead of that's where my energy goes to. And so now that the medication I take is stopping that, the energy now goes to my growth and my energy source more.
That's right, into living a life that you can enjoy instead of just surviving, and in the end really Elijah's only barely surviving. And we can talk about that in a minute. So Elijah, how do you administer the medication? What do you have to do?
So when I came back from Melbourne about a month ago, I've just been, so I've used a month of that medication right now, and what I do is usually it's a needle that you need to usually so push it into the fat of the thighs or the belly each day, and make sure it doesn't go the same spot every day. So.
And Elijah didn't have much fat. In fact, you didn't have any fat on you. Like if you were your body had even started to eat your muscles, didn't it? Yeah. Because you were taking so much energy to stay alive. So what's happened since you've been taking the medication?
Well, I feel like I've got much more energy now, and I noticed that I've grown and put on way more weight than I have used to. Like,
how much weight have you put on in the last month?
So I have put on about 2 kilos.
Which is amazing. Month. So how much do you weigh now?
I think I weighed 27.5 kilos. And
that's awesome.
I used to weigh 25 kilos. But before, like when I was at the hospital. And
you've grown, what, a centimeter?
Yes, I think so.
Watch out, world, because you're going to grow into a big, strong boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to fill you all in a little bit. So I was with Elijah and Cohen, the twins, when they were born, because Lisanna and my daughter had a cesarean section. And I mean, we were so happy when the boys were born and over the moon, as you can imagine. And then the first night though, something happened that caused Elijah to go into organ failure, and nobody could figure out what was going on, and they took lots of blood tests and they thought he must have had an infection, and so he had to go on really strong intravenous antibiotics. He was on antibiotics then for 3 weeks, but didn't how do I say it, the pediatricians in Burnley didn't really know what was going on. So in the end, he was sent to ICU in Hobart, and he spent a few days there, and then Lisanne and the twins came home. And then we noticed after a year or so that Elijah wasn't developing. He cried a lot as well when he was a baby. He just cried so much. He just didn't feel good in his body, and he was really getting the best of care from his mom and from Pete and me and all his uncles and aunties. And then when Elijah was 1, we started to notice that he was missing all the major milestones, so his body just didn't have enough energy to crawl. He didn't crawl. And Cohen, he just developed like a normal healthy boy, and Elijah got more and more behind. And then when he was 2, I think, he was diagnosed with a massively enlarged heart. So his heart was 4 times the size of what it should have been, because he had incredibly low iron levels. So he was so anemic that his heart had just grown and grown to get the oxygen around his body. So then, in the meantime, by the way, Elijah had been under pediatric care all this time, and it was only because his mum and Pete and I kept on going back saying we're not happy about Elijah that they eventually did those tests, but we never got to the bottom of his problems. And so in the first few years, Elijah cried a lot. He had like anaphylactic shock reactions nearly every 3 days. If he ate something wrong, he would vomit, projectile vomit, hives, severe headaches, which we now realize when we thought Elijah was having migraines, he was actually having meningitis, and meningitis is part of the NOMID disease. So Elijah has suffered tremendous pain all his life, and I'm so sorry that there were no adults that could really help him. What was that like for you, Elijah?
Well, you kind of, at the start, you kind of felt really helpless, like not being able to do anything for, well, you probably, but sometimes I thought that I'll just stick like this for the rest of my life and just having to live with it until I get old and die.
Yeah. So at one level you were very accepting, weren't you?
Yeah.
But at another level, I have seen you with despairing as well, eh? That you just felt so much despair because you knew there was so much wrong with you. You had so many problems, and any little bit of stress will trigger the NOMIDs, like create inflammation. So if it got too cold, and it could just happen very quickly, and then he would get high temperature and fever, and this would almost was happening every day when he started to go to high school. So his mom had to pick him up at 11 o'clock nearly every day, and he just didn't last. But I was also going to say, so when Elijah was 3, his knees started to become inflamed, and when he was 5, he started to go blind. So his body with NOMIDs, it just means the body is constantly attacking itself. So it's not just autoimmune disorder, it's autoimmune inflammation that affects every system of your body, especially the knees, the eyes, the brain, and the ears. So, but lucky for Elijah, when he was tested in Melbourne, he came through with flying colours. So all his organs are good. He hasn't really got any damage anywhere other than your knees are very, what's the word? Disfigured, aren't they?
Yeah.
You've got massive lumps on your knees. But luckily you can walk fine, can't you?
Yeah, I can walk fine. I can walk fine, but I can't keep up with everyone else.
No.
Else is like running or walking, because
well, before the medication you couldn't even walk hardly at all.
Yeah.
Well, you just had to use willpower.
Yeah.
Incredible willpower, because we didn't have a diagnosis, and we were just sent to a specialist for his heart, another specialist for the knees, another specialist for the eyes, another specialist for his blood. And none of the doctors kind of talked to each other, and they all wanted to give him bad drugs like methotrexate or maybe prednisolone, which we felt like if Elijah took methotrexate, that's a cancer drug, that would kill him, because he doesn't just have rheumatoid arthritis, he also has an enlarged heart and the eyes and other things. So when Elijah was 5, we discovered that if he only ate meat, his body was getting on a lot better, so meat didn't trigger an allergic reaction. But we found out that was pretty much the only food that he could eat was meat and meat fats.
Yeah.
And so Elijah basically had to eat meat from age 5 till recently. So what's that, 7 years? But by the way, your eyes did improve then, and he got his eyesight back. So if he hadn't gone on the meat diet, you would have been blind by now, and it probably also prevented other things. So Nomet's disease has only been discovered or been given a name in 2020, so only 2 years ago. So when Elijah went to Melbourne when he was 5, again, they didn't know, they just knew that there was a lot wrong with him, but they didn't know what to do, and they couldn't help him. And so we've just been looking after him. So Pete is here now. Pete, how did you look after Elijah? Do you want to tell us a little bit? You have to come into the picture. Just put your chair behind us.
Hello there.
Come and sit in behind us. So
when we discovered he was going blind, we put him on an autoimmune paleo diet, which, as Rada was saying, included mainly just meats and fats and...
Because eggs were really bad for him too.
Few low-starch carbohydrates. How was that when you were going to school, Lige?
And all the family parties, and when you had yummy food.
Sometimes I got jealous, but most of the time, like after a little bit, I kind of just got used to it in eating meat and not like all these carbs and sweets like other school kids usually have in their lunchbox, or sandwiches and gluten and stuff like that. So I got used to it and didn't really worry about what other kids had for lunch or recess.
Lige used to bring home Freddo frogs that the teacher gave him for doing good work. He'd bring them home and give to someone else.
Yeah.
At the age of 5.
I know.
He was pretty good.
Really good, because Elijah realized that if he ate the wrong foods, he would have what we thought migraines, but it was actually meningitis. Can you imagine how painful that would have been?
Plus his eye, the inflammation out of his eyes cleared up within a couple of months on that diet, which was incredible. But we were still at a loss of what was going on. And so tell us when you went to Melbourne.
We did it a little bit already, but the doctor, the miracle is that the team who was going to take care of Elijah in Melbourne, the head pediatrician, when Lisanne and Elijah arrived in Melbourne, the head pediatrician had gone away for 2 weeks, and she was replaced by this Dr. Bill, right? And so Lisanne thought, like, that's Elijah's mum. Oh, not again, I'm falling between the cracks again. But then this Dr. Bill, he took one look at Elijah, basically, didn't he? And he said, I know what that is.
And recognized it straight away.
Yeah. And so I still feel like crying right now, because what are the chances to find a pediatrician who recognizes Nomet, because Nomet is so rare.
How many people in the world, Lige?
100, I think.
100 known people. But how did he know about Nomet's life?
Well, apparently he had another patient with basically my type of disease, like very similar, and he even had inflammation in the knee somewhere, I think, and so.
And he's 12, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's 12, or might be a bit older. Like, he's another patient in a university in
Monash University, and he is deaf, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Because it affects the knees and the ear, the little bones in the ears, the bones.
So, Nomet disease usually affects the hearing, the eyes, and then basically the knees.
And the nervous system.
Yeah,
and if it's not treated well, people with Nomet don't live long either, right? And they suffer a lot, as we've already described.
Yeah.
Because there's just too many white cells, they go crazy, they're just attacking their own tissue all the time. So Pete and I, we used to keep a bit of an eye on Elijah's body with looking at your lifeblood. And before you went to Melbourne, your live blood actually looked pretty shocking, like it looked like a person with leukemia. But when we looked through Elijah's file, his blood always looked like that. So you've had a really, really tough start to life. And you know, the hardest thing was also, of course, for his mom and his twin brother and Peter, me, and all the uncles and aunties, was just to watch him suffer. And despite our best efforts and Elijah's best efforts, his body wasn't really keeping it together, because now that you're a teenager and the hormones start to kick in, it's harder for the body. So like all the symptoms were getting worse. And I feel like if we hadn't found this Dr. Bill and the medication, I would have really felt very bleak about your future. But now you have a future ahead of you. So this is actually created. It's a genetic mutation. Do you want to tell us about that? Do you think it happened in your body?
I think, I don't know how it mutated my genes, but it started mutating when I was a few cells big, so just
after conception, or maybe at conception?
Probably, I think so. Anyway, and then my genes, so I don't know why, but they just seem to have mutated from there. I don't know too much about how it started or what happened, but that's all I know, is that it was my genes mutate. It's a mutated disease, so you get get born with it, and then that's all I know from there. So
he used to have a histamine storm every day and end up in big welts pretty well every day, and particularly when he went to high school, he used to last about 3 hours each day, didn't you?
And you actually like studying people, and you like being with other people and kids and so on. So what are some of your dreams for now? Now you're able to dream and have look forward to hopefully a long and happy life. What are some of the dreams? What are some of your passions? What are the things that make you feel happy?
Well, I haven't decided too much yet, but I do want to be a cook like my mum is.
She's a really great cook, isn't she?
Yeah, and I want to start up a couple of restaurants around the world.
Sounds good to me. I'll come and eat there every day. Because you were cooking your own meat already, weren't you?
Yeah.
In the end.
Well, I did start cooking really young with my mum.
Yeah.
He used to cook meals for the rest of the family and then not be able to eat them.
No, that would have been so cruel. Oh yeah, and so since the medication, you can pretty much eat anything now, or you're still being careful?
I'm still being a bit careful just in case. I'm still kind of not on a paleo diet. Like, I am on one, but like I think I can eat eggs, and maybe I can eat eggs and a little bit of dairy, but I'm still trying to stay off
being
gluten,
careful.
Gluten, and not too much sugar too, and not too many carbs either. So
that'd be the best thing for everyone, I think, Lige.
Yeah.
And so when we had Easter time, like on Easter Sunday, Elijah and his mum, Lisanne, cooked up a storm for Peter and me. We were so spoiled. They came and cooked breakfast, and it was eggs, what was it? Eggs Benedict.
Eggs Benedict with hot cross buns, I think.
Yeah. And it was fried bread, wasn't it? Fried bread in butter or something, your mum, gluten-free fried bread. And then we had eggs Benedict. What are your favorite eggs now, even though you shouldn't be eating too many, but it's just having a little egg binge at the moment?
My favorite eggs are probably a poached egg with crackers or something.
With rice cakes,
And then maybe a fried egg. I haven't really tried scrambled eggs yet, but those are my top ones. I like dippy eggs, but I'd rather eat them with something.
Yeah, okay, they're still probably not really great for you anyway.
Yeah.
So, but it's okay to have a little binge on eggs if you haven't had them for 9 years, sorry.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to share with people? Like, say, maybe there are children out there or parents with children who have your symptoms. What do they need to know?
Just know that even if it is hard to deal with, I think you will if you have the right people and go to the right things, you can always be happy even if you do have symptoms like me. You don't have to look at the negative side and think that everything's just going to go downhill from there.
That's right. You're really, really good always at seeing the glass half full, aren't you?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably kept you as strong and healthy as you've been all your life, because you just have such a great sense of humor as well, because you always see the funny side of things. And I've never heard Elijah laugh as much as in the last month, so that's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah. It's given us a bit of a
new lease of life.
New lease of happiness as well.
So I think also what Elijah and his mum want you to know is just don't stop looking for answers and keep knocking on those doors till you get help, right?
And the universal line the stars up.
That's right.
Get the answer.
Because I mean, it was probably like a needle in a haystack looking for Elijah's getting a name for his condition, because we didn't even know that he had a genetic mutation. But I used to actually say to Pete all the time after I gave Elijah treatment, I feel there is something organically wrong with Elijah. I used to say that to you as well, because Elijah used to come to me for treatments just so I could give him a top up, and you would always go to sleep, didn't you? Like on a treatment table, probably like get me out of here. But actually,
his body was just using all his energy to stay alive.
So usually, like within 5 minutes of the session that he had with me, Elijah would go into a really, really deep sleep. It was like a little bit of a healing crisis. But I always used to feel like his life force isn't strong. And there is just something organically wrong with him, and by that I probably meant a genetic thing that it's like outside my scope of healing, because I've worked, Pete and I, we've worked with thousands, tens of thousands of people, and I never ever came across anyone like Elijah. And this is the thing, like heal yourself, right, or heal your own family. It felt like being a plumber who doesn't do their own kitchen. Do you know what I mean? So don't ever give up. Just keep banging on those doors and seek for help wherever you can go. And in the end, go all the way to the top, like we had to go to the Royal Melbourne Hospital, didn't we?
Yeah.
And don't stop even there. Like 6 years ago, you went there and they didn't help you.
They didn't know what was going on in the first place.
But now 6 years later, there is a solution, right? So like sometimes things take time as well. And if you keep looking for answers, you're going to get them in the end. So be dedicated to your own health, Elijah.
Lige was dedicated all his life, really.
So proud of you.
And he's, as well as he is today, because of the autoimmune paleo diet, I'm sure.
And all the love he gets.
Yep.
And the care from his mom and his twin brother and his dad and uncles and aunties. You're a very, very special person and a real inspiration to me. Is there anything else you want to say to anyone?
No, that's all I know right now. I think I could always come back and do another one.
Yeah, we'll do it again in a month's time and see how much more you've grown.
You'll probably be up here by then.
You like tussling with your twin brother now, with Cohen?
Yeah.
Of course, you could never ever tussle because in case he hurt you too much.
Yeah, I was really fragile back then. So I could get hurt really easily with a soft punch or anything, so I didn't really. No. That's why I didn't really play any sports or.
You didn't play at all, really, did you? So we are so happy. This is the biggest miracle in my whole life. Thanks everyone for watching. Let us know if you've got any questions. And so happy that you're tuning in and be part of our happy news as well. And we'll do another one maybe in a month's time. Okay?
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for tuning in.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.